Hi. In this video, we will see how a database table source object works in Astera. The database table source object is used to retrieve data from a database table. It offers incremental reads via change data capture, supports multi-way partitioning for enhanced performance, and allows customization with where clauses and sorting options. Let's see how it works in Astera. First, we will drag a database table source object from the Sources section in the toolbox and drop it onto the designer. Let's right-click on the database table source and select Properties from the context menu. On the Database Connection screen, we'll provide the necessary details to configure the database connection. Start by selecting the database provider from the drop-down list. In this case, we will be using SQL Server. Then, enter the credentials, followed by the server name. Now, let's choose the database from which we are going to retrieve the data. Next, we shall verify our connection by selecting Test Connection. Upon a successful test, click Next. Moving on to the Pick Source table and Reading Options screen, we will first pick the table from the drop-down list which will serve as our source. In case our table has a large amount of data, we also have the option to partition it. This allows us to break the table into different partitions, helping us load our data faster and more efficiently. We can specify the number of partitions and then pick a key field on which we want to partition the table. If we have specific key values available based on which we want to partition the table, we can specify them in the Specify Key Values option, separated by commas. However, in this case, our database table does not have many records, so let's go ahead with the default settings. Next, we have the Favors Enterprise Layout option. We can check this option if our source database table layout changes over time, but we want the tool to favor its own layout over the database layout. We can also check the Dynamic Layout option if we want to add or delete fields in the objects connected to this source. Next, we have the Incremental Read options. Over here, we can select the Full Load option if we want to read the entire table. Or we can select the Incremental Load based on Audit Fields option to read the records from the last read record every time the flow runs. Or we can choose to select Trigger-based CDC if we want to make use of triggers to identify any changes in the data source and load data based on those triggers. This option can be enabled by right-clicking the database source object. For our use case, we will be using the default settings. Let's click Next. Now we are on the Layout Builder screen. Here we can add, remove, and reorganize the fields as per our requirements. Once the layout is ready, let's click Next. We will be taken to a new window, Where Clause. Here, we can provide a Where clause, which will filter the records from our database table. For instance, if we only want to view the data of customers from Mexico, we can add a Where clause here that selects all the customers from the country Mexico in the Customers table. Click OK. Now, our source object is ready, and here we can see that it has successfully retrieved the records from the database. We can now right-click on the source object and select Preview Output to preview the data. So that's how we can source our data from a database in Astera. You may also visit our documentation site for more information on setting up sources in Astera. Thank you for watching.